My lords, in a previous report we covered the various known space fauna that occupied our galaxy. Today we shall address the mechanical beings, often referred to as Guardians. Each of them is entirely unique and incredibly powerful. Our science teams have been hard at work and we have been able to produce detailed reports on each one. We shall start with the mighty warship designated the Automated Dreadnaught. The Automated Dreadnaught is a sad story. Its masters have been dead for millions of years, but the massive warship continues to stand vigil over the broken rubble of their empire. It was one of several flagships belonging to an unusually powerful interstellar empire that flourished in a small region of our galaxy some 7 million years ago. As is so often the case, that empire was brought to a sudden and violent end at the hand of its neighbours in a series of very destructive wars. We speculate that this dreadnought may have been Grunur by design. We know that approximately 7 million years ago, the Grunur were instrumental in the enslavement and annihilation of the plantoid species known as the Baul. It is widely believed that around this time the Grunur were a dominant military force in the galaxy. As such, it is probable that this relates to them in some manner. In any case, the Dreadnought patrols a star system with 2 habitable worlds which have what appears to be, from long-range scans, ruined cities on them. It is likely whomever this Dreadnought was protecting has long since moved on. The Dreadnought appears to be the last of its kind, and it continues to dutifully patrol its assigned system despite the death of all its crew. Many attempts have been made throughout the ages to put the old warship to its final rest. None have been successful. The warship was designed to operate with a large crew, but it now relies exclusively on automated systems to function. This makes the ship especially vulnerable to attacks that disrupt the relay nodes used by its central computer. I would suggest, my lords, that if we were to attack this vessel, we do so with significant force. Smaller ships, such as strikecraft and corvettes, able to maneuver around its colossal Titan lance, would likely be a wise choice. Furthermore, it has mighty energy weapons, laser and plasma alike, and they are almost certain to shred through our ship's armoured plating. Supercharging the shields would likely go a long way to keep our men and women unharmed. Now we move on to the Scavenger Bot. The Scavenger Bot is a curious construct from a lost age. Welding guns, engines, and general materials scavenged from countless derelicts and wrecks onto its own hull. The bot's mass and firepower have been increasing in such a fashion for centuries, with no sign of it relenting. No one knows if there is an upper limit to how massive it could become, given enough time, and most importantly, enough scrap to work with. Unfortunately, we do not have definitive data regarding the Scavenger Bot's origin. Some researchers believe it to be a malfunctioning scrap collection service machine from a long-lost empire, its purpose long since remodified by hardware degradation. Others believe it to have originated as a single microscopic nanobot, programmed to endlessly build itself larger and stronger by exploiting its environment. Still others reckon it may have started out as a robotic warship's captain, the sole survivor of an intergalactic battle waged millennia ago. Perhaps its reasoning and logic systems were damaged by the sudden destruction of its entire civilization. Of course, this is all just speculation. Over the years, there have been many attempts to communicate with the Scavenger Bot, or else alter its programming. Unfortunately, most of these expeditions ended up part of the large cosmic scrapyards where the Scavenger Bot now dwells. Only those who are able to outrun it survive. The Scavenger has more than enough heavy artillery bolted onto its patchwork frame that it can just about single-handedly destroy an entire empire's fleet. An event we should note that we have witnessed twice, and that it is highly likely to have already occurred on many occasions prior to this. Of course, any such destructive encounters would only observe further to stretch and strengthen the Scavenger, providing it with more ship components to repurpose. As I've summarised, the Scavenger Bot is not built according to any definitive pre-existing schematics. As a result, some of its parts fit together less than optimally, leading to a discrete number of structural weaknesses. Of course, to the uninitiated, most of these are obscured from view, but our advanced sensors have managed to isolate what we think are weak spots on its outer hull. We hope this will significantly reduce the amount of damage it can soak up before collapsing. As for weaponry, the Scavenger Bot has a colossal Titan-class Giga Cannon, capable of blasting battleships apart in a single salvo. Fortunately, this weapon seems to take significant time to reload. It would appear your best bet is to evade it. However, although fancy flying will help you here, its secondary weapon systems are composed entirely of radar-guided missiles. I would suggest, my lords, if we want to take on this Scavenger Bot, we retrofit our fleets with mostly armour where possible, and hope our pilots are wide awake. Next we have another gigantic space orb. This one, however, is far more amicable. The being known as the Infinity Machine occupies the Gargantua system. Gargantua contains no planetary bodies, only an oversized black hole, which the Infinity Machine orbits. Before further investigation on the Infinity Machine, we contacted the curators. They had little to say, ever the arrogant aliens. Ah yes, the chromatic being from long ago. We have studied it for as long as our order has existed, as have several civilizations before us. The machine is beyond ancient. For all we know, it has always been, and yet, all it does is orbit that black hole. It's fascinating to us, but we understand if it is too much for you to grasp. The Infinity Machine, as you so bluntly call it, is impervious to extraction. No information comes out from it. No hacker or engineer in the entire galaxy has been able to see through its shiny exterior to gain a glimpse of the knowledge it so obviously withholds from us. We are at a loss. We neither know what it is for, nor what it aims to do once it's done. So essentially the curators are clueless. Despite this, we attempted to communicate with the device, be that through conventional means or through a hacking attempt. Despite the warnings from the curators that nothing in the living galaxy has succeeded in doing so, we are human, and nothing stands in our way. It appears we have further evidence of human superiority. Our science teams have been able to access the orb. The hacking team were able to use the outgoing signal as a gateway into one of the auxiliary CPUs of the orb. They intercepted some data packets and concluded that the orb has been scanning the black hole for a very long time. Thousands, if not millions of years. It is clearly extremely old. The science team believe, based on the scanner readings, that the device is calculating something. But it's unclear what. We wonder what marvels it might contain. The security officer on board the science vessel pointed out that it was likely the device had a self-destruct, and perhaps it would be prudent to initiate it. This option was not explored further. The orb had offered no threat to us, and it seemed foolish to destroy what could potentially be a wonderful supply of new technology. We attempted to initiate contact again with the device, using the data packets the crew had acquired. In a bizarre turn of events, they received an audio signal from the device, greeting the science crew and saying it was nice to meet them. The machine explained it thought it was quite enjoyable to pass the time with pleasantries. It stated it did not get to enjoy conversation much anymore, as few were well versed enough in the finer points of quantum programming in order to initiate communication. It called itself the Infinity Machine, but stated they were our words, not its, and questioned whether that had even happened yet. But irrespective, it would happen. The science team of course asked what the device was and what was its purpose in being in the Gargantua system and scanning the black hole. The Infinity Machine responded, "We are what we are, the ones who calculate. You call us the Infinity Machine, or you will at least." This is not a truthful name, but it is well suited to highlighting the ingenuity of our design. We will tell you our history, as we've done many times before. We were constructed, in the crudest sense of the word, in order to solve a problem. We solved it. Then we needed more problems to solve. We now only have one left. We are calculating infinity. No more, no less. Or actually, it is way more and way less. That's the problem right there. We understand that your manner of life form won't understand. But that's alright. You never will, and as such we apologise. Or maybe we do eventually. We are here to solve the infinity conundrum, the last calculation to ever be, the lone problem to take hold of our processors for more than a fraction of a galactic year. In case you haven't discovered that calendar yet, It's a very long time. For you, anyway. Perhaps ambitiously, the science team offered to assist the machine in its research. The machine, after some time, accepted. The science team were unable to receive data directly from the black hole, so linked their ship with the Infinity Machine and set to work. A full Earth year passed before we received further communication from the Infinity Machine. It stated, "We cannot bear to see you spend more of your limited time helping us. You have done your part. You were very helpful. Maybe the heat death of the universe won't happen before we finish now. The task remains, and we shall finish it. Now, your reward. Do you wish to learn one of our secrets? We obviously accepted the orb's offer, and were subsequently bestowed with blueprints to construct a positronic artificial intelligence and a quantum processing unit. It is thought that this will boost our Empire's research output considerably. An extremely positive result." The story, however, does not finish here. Not long after the science team finally began their voyage back to Earth, our research station left in the system recorded the Infinity Machine disappearing into the black hole at the centre of the Gargantua system. As it passed the event horizon, the black hole began to fluctuate. Slowly at first, the black hole seemed to begin taking in less light, and the swirls of matter being pulled in started to slow as well. Then suddenly, in an instant, it exploded, dazzling the instruments aboard the research station, releasing a tremendous amount of light and radiation. The black hole then began to shrink, to almost a fifth of its original size. Not quite fitting of its name Gargantua, it's been suggested we rename it Pantagruel. Oddly, the now smaller black hole has had a drastic increase in its time dilation abilities. Furthermore, if the readings from the research team are correct, the event horizon is showing us another universe, quite literally allowing us to gaze into it. Apparently the Infinity Machine has shown us the truth after all. Black holes are wombs, and universes their offspring. We have not found any evidence of another entity similar to the Infinity Machine. However, in-depth analysis has provided us with significant tactical data should we come across another, and it happens to be less amicable. The Infinity Machine is remarkably well shielded, but has relatively poor armor plating. We suggest ships be fitted with missiles or torpedoes that can penetrate its immense shielding. Strikecraft could also be effective, however the orb does have an extensive network of point defensive turrets. Pilots would likely be lost in an assault. The Infinity Machine also has an extensive offensive capability. Sporting a rather large energy cannon, though not quite as powerful as a Titan's Perdition beam, it still will happily chew through battleships with ease. It appears all of the Infinity Machine's weaponry is energy based, thus well-shielded vessels will be effective, with the slight caveat that it also appears to be capable of launching multiple advanced strikecraft. On to the last mechanical being on this list, the Enigmatic Fortress. According to the curators, this is the kind of absurd, massive, self-perpetuating construction that is not built anymore. Apparently, the fortress has been defeated before, but it always recovers. Some of the ancient empires of this galaxy were driven to madness by their vain efforts to unlock its deeper secrets, or else to permanently destroy it. It appears to be so focused on maintaining itself that we doubt it has any other serious purpose. It is completely unclear who built the fortress, or if it was a rogue AI once upon a time. Whoever or whatever they were must have been fond of puzzles and enigmas. The only items to have ever been recovered from the fortress have been strange metal shapes, components of perplexing contraptions which seem to be designed to be able to be rearranged into a more satisfying form. Those who brought them back did so because they failed, and they barely escaped with their lives. Many others did not return. We assume that the device that powers the fortress must have been built at a time between initial construction of the fortress and installation of its defensive systems. The system's recovery method is unknown to us, but we have discovered that the fortress contains large quantities of dark matter. That substance and its relationship to black holes are key to understanding how the fortress has lasted so long. No one has ever found the source of its power, but it is likely to be extremely volatile. There are rumours, however, that the fortress can be entered. We found an alien pirate vessel packed with various trinkets and artifacts. One such trinket was a log of whoever used to own the ship. According to the ship's logs, the alien was known as Indy. If the ship's logs are to be believed, Indy was able to disable the fortress and get inside. According to the logs, they were greeted with several puzzles. It was quickly recognised that the fortress was in a state of shutdown. A misstep regarding the solving of the puzzles would likely reset the fortress, resulting in certain death for any occupiers. The first puzzle involved forcing entry. A relatively low energy surge was used and proved to be successful. The log reads, "First, the amount of energy supplied to the fortress seemed too small to make a difference. Then, the area surrounding the air slowly started to show signs of functioning. With some mechanical tricks and guesswork, Indy and his team accessed the controls and managed to open the airlock itself. Although not by the cleanest docking procedure, they were now inside the fortress." The next puzzle was referred to as the tower. The logs report that Indy and the team found their way blocked by a massive bulkhead. They reported that there is a recessed alcove to the right housing a pedestal, and a contraption wrought in the same black metal as the fortress itself. They believed that this device was key to opening the bulkhead. Indy described it as 3 upright poles spaced equal distance across the top of the pedestal with 3 rings. Metal tori of varying sizes placed around the leftmost pole, the smallest at the top and the largest at the bottom. The explorer had multiple options, but ultimately went with rearranging the metal tori on the poles. This appeared to be the correct choice. After some odd sounds, the bulkhead appeared to rapidly transform into an unpleasant smelling liquid, reminiscent of purple quicksilver. Combined with the relatively mundane puzzle mechanism, it almost feels like the explorer was a victim of an elaborate prank set up many millennia ago. The next stage the log refers to as the pivot. It reports that they reached what appeared to be the geometric centre of the fortress, even if the internal geometry leaves some doubt if the concept of a centre is even relevant. What was indisputably relevant was how the fortress was powered, which makes their discovery all the more interesting. Dark matter appeared to be funneled around the fortress and then back to the core, a little like a cardiovascular system. Although the flow had stopped, there was evidence that it was beginning to start up again. Based on the remaining logs that we found on the pirate vessel, we assume they chose this moment to evacuate the fortress, as there was no further data. It has, however, given our scientists an idea regarding researching the star in the system that the fortress inhabits. Scouring the local stars for clues on how the fortress is built, we discovered a surprising secret. It appears there is a fine mist of nano-technological cameras that have been found in close proximity to the star. They act as the eyes of the fortress and help explain the efficiency of its defences. In accessing these, we can view the history of the system all the way back to the fortress's construction. However, as time was short, we were only able to pick one option: the beginning, the middle and the end of the fortress's construction. We picked the middle. This choice proved to be most successful. As we were able to see what the power core of the fortress looked like, and as such we have unlocked schematics for various enigmatic technologies, most of which on the face of it seem to be incredibly powerful. Should the fortress ever power itself back up again and we have to fight it, we have captured significant tactical data which should prove useful. The space station itself is guarded by numerous unique defense platforms. These include 8 sentinels, all of whom sport autocannons, 4 ancient defenders who also use autocannons and numerous point defense modules, 2 ancient wardens who are equipped with large artillery weapons and more autocannons, 2 ancient guardians also equipped with artillery weapons, autocannons and point defense, and finally the vault itself, which is equipped with no less than 7 large artillery cannons. The fortress seems to be equally defended by a mix of armour and shielding. As such, weaponry should be mixed between kinetic and energy based. However, despite its vast defensive capabilities, the fortress does only use kinetic weapons. As such, equipping attacking vessels with the best armour plating available will be the most effective strategy. Thanks for watching folks. If you want to hear more Stellaris lore, please click the video on screen now.